Welcome in everybody. We're here with another Ghosts of Tabor video. Today there's something a little different just to the normal gameplay videos where I'm overall about 150 hours into the game now, 135 or so on Steam, and I did about 20 or so on the meta version of the app in the early days. So we're going to go over some tips. I think it's 10 if I counted my list properly. But it's basically 10 things that I would recommend, some tips, some tricks, etc. that will hopefully help you out with getting started. So let's just jump straight into it. Number 1, find a gun or a couple of guns that you really like and practice, stick with them, use them to level up your traders. Now for me it was the CX8, which I'll show you why in the next tip, and the other one, it was the AKM for when I was running sort of island raids when I wanted a break. It's gone out of my hands, but it's a really good gun. So yeah, find a couple of guns that you like, rush Spectre to level 2 just to give you some more access to some more guns. Practice with those guns, run as many raids as possible with them, and yeah, get good with that before you move on to anything else. Tip number 2, this is going to help you with your aim. So if you're like me, when I came to Tabor, this was my very first VR game. So as much as I'm 150 hours into Tabor, I'm also only 150 hours into VR as a whole, and it's like learning a whole new muscle memory. So tip 2, practice on Fenix. There's a great way of doing this, and we're going to a training raid. We're going to go to MAA Underground because the Fenix respawn mega fast. It's nothing to lose doing this. It's a great way to warm up if you're getting ready for a session. Head yourself into MAA Underground and just roam around here. Get yourself, I'm using the CX8 for some reasons that I'll go through after. Put a torch on it. We're just gonna run around and shoot some Fenix. Now, I haven't reset my gun stock up for this, so holding this thing feels a bit weird, but there's everywhere you can go. There'll be Fenix up at each station. There'll be Fenix just everywhere, and they respawn every few minutes. So spend 10 minutes in here, start of a session. Work on your point fire, work on your ADS, work on your peeking. Loads of them to go at, and yeah, it's a great way to practice. It's pretty much how I practiced VR as a whole, to be honest. When I was in the early days of playing this game, it's just phenomenal. There's nothing like it. Tip 3, so that's kind of a 3. This is a bit of there's a whole video on this topic, and it's how to peek corners when you're in a fight. I'll give you an example. Let's jump into the clip. Okay, I'm going to use this as an example. Let's say there's a guy. There's a guy there. Okay, now for me, the muscle memory was always tuck right into this wall, and we're going to peek and shoot. Yeah. So we're right up against the wall, peek, clip that guy, peek back in. Now, you'd be surprised, and like I say, I'll try and find the link for the video and I'll pin it down below. But what you want to do, and this really works, is we want to peek from back here. Yeah. Now, there's some science happens where if we're here and we peek, he's going to see us before we see him. Back here, we have more of a chance. You can even feel it. There's slightly less moving to get in and out of sight. So you always want to, when you've got to peek around a corner and you're in a fight with someone, try and not from here. Step back as far as you can and peak. Okay. Now I hope that makes sense, and it sounds crazy, because I thought it was crazy when I read it, and I started doing it, and I win so many more gunfights because of this. Try it. See what you think. Okay, tip 4 and tip 5 kind of tie in together. So tip 4 is you want to use and learn MAA Underground as quick as you can. I learned Island just because, you know, it's a relatively easy map to learn, just because the POIs are so spread out and not too bad. MAA's a bit more tricky, but it's worth it. And I'll explain the reason why for point 5, which is where we're going to use MAA to speed level our traders up and also get to level 22 as quick as possible, especially at the start of wipe. But getting to level 22 as fast as you can is going to help you a massive amount. Reason for that, now we go into our Spectre missions. Right down here, we have kill 25 Fenix with SMGs and 5 raids. You can do that in 1 raid, 2 if you be careful, and you get 8.4k EXP. Now you can stack this up, just have these extra ones running in the background. If you're good at the game, you can use these, but even then, MAA Underground's good for it. Same with Minty, we have kill 15 Fenix in 3 raids. We're in MAA Underground. We've got this CX8, which is available very early. These Fenix respawn every couple of minutes as long as you not buy them. You can get 15 very easy in 1 raid. 1, 2. It's 2 off the bat. 3. See, it's great. Get yourself into the sewers. Avoid the hot spots with the other players. I mean, you can loot all the Stanag mags off them. It's not the best map for normal loot, but for EXP, it's great. You can rack up 40, 50k EXP very, very easily. And it's just a great map. Find your route. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a full video on how I run this map, especially early wipe, where I'm not so focused on player kills and I'm more focused on trader rep and leveling myself up to, you know, try and get ahead a little bit and start running some real good kits. But learn this map, it's fantastic for leveling. Tip number 6, this is to get to level 22 as quick as possible. What that's going to do is it's going to give you the ability to craft meds. But the reason why we wait for level 22 is we can upgrade this thing straight away, so it gives us 3 NRS per plant. So get yourself to level 22, level up your bunker as much as possible. That's going to give you the farm. That is the best way of getting money early wipe. It's boring. It looks like the devs are working on a way to make it less so when you get it to max level, but it is boring. It takes me probably takes me about 20 minutes to fill up the plants. There's loads of detailed guides on how this works. There's no water in here, but get yourself to level 22, grow your plants, makes these things, chuck these into this machine, and there you go, you've got meds being made. So mine is max level, so I get 4 per plant. Stims, you can stock up, make a shelf full of them, sell the rest. It's very, very good money. Once you get that running, money becomes not an object. You can just run kits to your heart's content. And that moves us on to tip 7. Tip number 7 is try and get used to running kits, even if they're just light, even if you're going to lose them anyway. It just helps get over that bit of gear fear. When I start the game, I always run the best stuff that I've got. Like I say, I like taking in a CX8. Anything that will give you a small advantage over somebody else is always great. So take some kits, even if they're really, really light kits. Highly recommend. Always take a backpack. You know, take some armor, take a helmet, even if they're useless. get used to just blowing the money. Hopefully it gives you an extra opportunity to get out of raid alive. So yeah, run some kits. It's so fun. It's so much better than running naked all the time. Trust me, it's brilliant. It just makes the game really good. And when you get into some good fights, it's what will really boost your skill level in the game. Tip number 8, this is one that's hopefully going to help you survive some more raids and stop you getting killed by campers, people hiding. And this is to pay attention to what the Fenix are doing and where they are. And if they are where you expect them to be, that's the key thing. So we'll jump into Island for this one as an example. So the one thing to bear in mind with this is Fenix won't spawn in the same place as a player. So there's preset Fenix spawns all over the map, but there's obviously players can roam. Now, let's use Lighthouse for example. If I'm approaching Lighthouse, I know there's a Fenix spawn. He's there, he's about to shoot me. Yeah. If there was a player in Lighthouse, or a risk of a player, that Fenix wouldn't be there. So the point I'm trying to make with this is learn the Fenix spawns. If you approach an area and you expect there to be a Fenix roaming outside and he isn't there, make the assumption that it's just a high chance there's a player around somewhere that's stopping that Fenix spawning, probably sat in a tree or behind a wall or whatever, waiting for you. Now, if there is a Fenix there, still doesn't mean a lot. Could still be a player in there. So you've still got to be cautious. But the thing that should make you extra cautious is if there's no Fenix where you expect there to be a Fenix. Now there's two places on this map that really pay attention to this. One is docks. If you go to that build, do you mind? Okay, it's gone. If you go to docks and you approach that building, or you go towards that building and there is no footsteps of a Fenix, there will always be Fenix. There'll be one roaming and there'll be one in the room, or there'll be two in the room upstairs. Always. If they're not there, if you walk up to that building and you can't hear them from outside, be extra cautious. Could be someone extract camping. The same goes for the loading bay down the bottom here. If you're running to beach extract, there's a Fenix that paths just inside that loading bay there. If you come over that hill and you come around and that Fenix isn't there, pay attention, think about it. Highly likely there's a player around, so learn the Fenix spawns, learn the Fenix behavior. If you see them, I mean, that guy was aiming at me. If you see him stood holding the angle on the door or something, look at what they do, start paying attention to what they're doing, especially near extracts. Learn them, learn the spawns, pay attention. It will help you survive so much more. And then lastly in the list of main tips is tip number 9, and that is, where possible, figure out why you're going into the raid in the first place, and then try your best to stick to that plan. So are you going to Underground to grind Fenix out for EXP? Yes, you are. Okay, you'll feel better about the game if you don't rush the hotspots and stay away from the player spawns. Build up a shed load of Fenix kills, get that big EXP loot at the end of it. You'll feel really good about yourself. If you go, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna push that little area with my 9mm SMG, you die. It can be really disheartening, especially if you're not used to this style of game. If you're going in running purples, focus on that purple. It probably isn't worth pushing that naked that's got the SKS over in the corner. You might get a lucky shot on you and ruin your raid. Make a plan, do your best to stick to it. It's a good bit of advice. If you're in hunting PvP, gear up, gear yourself appropriately for it. Chuck a good mag on with some drum mags and go for it. If that's what you're doing, you're hunting PvP, give yourself the best chance of winning them fights. Take the best stuff you got. Even if you lose it all and run out of money, it's fine. You can just grow some NRS and get some money back, or you can go and make a different raid plan where you are going to go in naked with a backpack, but you're going to sneak around and not try and kill the sweaty trio with a Makarov, or whatever else all these really skilled people can get away with doing. So that's kind of it for the base tips that I was going to go through. There's a couple of bonus tips that I don't want you to take these as gospel, because they involve spending money, and that's completely on you. But One thing I would recommend is, if you can, or if you want to, or if you're like me, where you only get a very limited amount of playtime to play the game, picking up the Nuclear Night Edition, that would really help. It would give you level 2 traders to start, a bit of extra money. It just gives you that little bit of head start to keep up with people who can maybe play a lot longer. And then this is my personal preference. You really don't have to do this, but it's my favorite gun in the game. And that's from the Taran Tactical DLC. And it's this beast. It's almost worth the £6 or whatever it is for the DLC just to get that gun. It's great. You don't need it. You can kill people and take it from them, but it gives it you. It's only £5 grand. Really good gun. As I say, I'm not recommending you go out and do it, but it's there as a tip. It gives you a good head start. I did it personally, just because I want to support the devs. The game's worth it. It's given me, even for the Nuclear Night Edition, which was £30 for me here in the UK, it's given me 150 hours of gameplay, and I'm just breaking the surface with what I want to do with the game. It's fantastic. So completely up to you. I'm not a salesman. I don't work for Combat Waffle, but yeah, really worth it, and it will really support the devs as well. So, and then lastly, this is, again, it's very personal preference. After I realized how much I was getting into this, I treated myself to a gun stock. So, that's how I can sort of put my hands like this. Got my hands attached to the stock. It really helps me, especially because I'm an old man. My hands aren't quite as steady as what they used to be. I find it brilliant. The immersion, how it feels, peeking corners, pushing things. I really like it. I'd recommend a decent one. If you are going to go down that, I used the mag tube from ProTube. I'll link that down below in the comments, but it's the one I use. It is a little bit pricey. Say it's completely personal preference, and it's not necessary. You don't need to do it. It's just what I wanted to do, and it really helped my gameplay. It really did. Took a bit of learning, but okay, that's it. Hope you find the tips useful. I'm probably not going to do many of these guide videos. There's loads out there from loads bigger creators than what I am, that are a lot better made, but this is just I've played the game for a relatively small amount of time. This is what's helped me. And if you want to support the channel, if you've made it this far, please consider dropping a sub. Getting better at writing these B's. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.